how the smallest scales control everything. The universe looks vast and powerful. Galaxies spin, stars burn, space stretches endlessly. Yet everything is ruled by the smallest scales. To understand how the smallest scales control everything, we must zoom inward, far beyond senses, beyond atoms, beyond intuition, where size stops meaning simplicity. For most of history, small things felt unimportant. Dust was trivial, details were noise. The big picture mattered. But physics revealed a reversal. The tiniest rules dictate the largest outcomes. Atoms decide chemistry. Chemistry decides biology. Biology decides behavior. Behavior shapes civilizations. Civilizations reshape planets. Everything traces back to microscopic rules. At the quantum level, particles obey strict laws. Energy arrives in steps. States are limited. Uncertainty is enforced. These rules do not average out. They propagate upward relentlessly. One electron's behavior can change chemistry. One molecular interaction can alter biology. One mutation can redirect evolution. Small causes cascade into massive consequences. Scale amplifies rule, not freedom. This control is invisible. You never feel quantum limits directly, but every solid surface, every electrical signal, every chemical reaction depends on them. Consider materials. Strength depends on atomic bonds. Conductivity depends on electron behavior. Transparency depends on quantum transitions. Macroscopic properties are microscopic negotiations. Even gravity feels the influence. Stars burn because quantum pressure resists collapse. Without tiny scale rules, massive objects would behave differently. The universe would look unrecognizable. At first, this seems backward. How can the smallest dominate the largest? But physics does not scale intuitively. Rules propagate upward. Freedom shrinks as systems grow. This realization reshapes causality. Big things do not decide outcomes. They obey accumulated constraints. The smallest rules quietly steer everything above them. And this leads to a deeper question. If the smallest scales control everything, what controls them? Are these rules fundamental? Or do they emerge from something even deeper? The final answers lie beneath size itself. At the smallest scales, freedom disappears. Particles cannot choose their behavior. They follow exact probabilities. Strict boundaries define what is allowed. Quantum rules do not bend. An electron cannot occupy any energy. A particle cannot have perfect position and motion. These limits are absolute, and they echo upward relentlessly. When many particles combine, these rules compound. They do not cancel. They reinforce. Large systems inherit microscopic constraints. Order emerges from limitation, not freedom. This explains why materials behave predictably, why metals conduct, why insulators resist, why magnets align. Macroscopic behavior is microscopic law made visible. Even randomness has structure. Quantum uncertainty is not chaos. It follows precise distributions. Noise has rules. Probability has shape. Small-scale randomness creates large-scale patterns. This is why weather depends on molecules, why climate depends on radiation, why biology depends on chemistry. Tiny interactions accumulate into global outcomes. Scale amplifies consequence. At first, this feels disempowering. If everything is controlled from below, where does choice exist? Where does novelty arise? Physics answers carefully. Freedom emerges from complexity, not from breaking rules, but from layering them. Simple constraints combine to create unpredictable behavior. The smallest rules enable higher-level surprise. Yet even surprise obeys boundaries. No system can violate conservation. No structure can escape entropy. No complexity can ignore uncertainty. The floor remains fixed. This means progress is constrained. Innovation explores allowed space, not infinite possibility. Creativity navigates rules. It does not erase them. Understanding this reframes control. The universe is not ruled from the top. It is governed from the bottom. Small laws dictate large futures. Every outcome is rooted in the tiniest scales. This prepares us for the final movement. If everything depends on the smallest rules, then understanding them is power, and misunderstanding them is limitation. The future belongs to those who respect the invisible foundations. This is where scale becomes deceptive, because as systems grow, control appears to loosen, but it never does. Complex systems feel autonomous. Life adapts, brains decide, societies choose. Yet every choice rides on physical possibility. Chemistry limits biology. Biology limits behavior. Behavior limits history. Even chaos follows rules. Sensitive dependence amplifies tiny differences. But amplification still begins small. A quantum fluctuation can shift outcomes. The butterfly effect starts microscopic. Large changes trace back to tiny causes. This is why prediction becomes difficult. Not because rules disappear, but because their interactions multiply. Simple laws combine into overwhelming complexity. Uncertainty grows from precision layered repeatedly. Technology exposes its dependence. Transistors fail because of atomic noise. Materials fatigue due to microscopic cracks. Data corrupts through thermal fluctuations. Large systems break at small points. This makes the smallest scales decisive. They set reliability. They set limits. They set failure modes. Ignoring them invites collapse. The same applies to the universe itself. Cosmic structure formed from quantum ripples. Galaxies grew from tiny fluctuations. The largest patterns began as microscopic imbalance. Scale did not create order. It magnified it. This reveals a quiet hierarchy. Big things express small rules. Power flows upward from constraint. Freedom decreases as systems enlarge. The foundation never loosens its grip. Understanding this changes responsibility. Control is not about force. It is about respecting foundations. Stability comes from alignment with small laws. Ignoring them only delays consequence. The universe does not negotiate upward. It enforces downward. The smallest scales decide what survives. Everything else adapts or disappears. And this brings us to the final insight. If the smallest scales control everything, then meaning lives in understanding them. Because all futures are written in rules too small to see. The climax of this journey is humbling. The universe is ruled from below. The smallest scales do not merely influence reality. They define it. Every structure, system, and story rests on invisible constraints. Nothing escapes them. This does not make life insignificant. It makes it remarkable. Complexity rises despite strict limits. Meaning emerges within narrow boundaries. Freedom appears inside constraint. The rules are not hostile. They are permissive. They allow complexity exactly because they are strict. Without limits, nothing would persist. Without structure, nothing could build. Understanding this restores perspective. Control is not domination. It is alignment. Those who respect small rules can shape large outcomes. Those who ignore them are shaped instead. Physics offers no shortcuts, but it offers clarity. The smallest scales control everything because they never compromise. Reality is consistent. We live inside rules we cannot change, but we can understand. That understanding is power, not to escape limits, but to work within them skillfully. Every future depends on foundations. Invisible, unforgiving, precise. The smallest scales decide what is possible. Everything else is commentary. Subscribe to join the journey. How the